All right, let me get you going here. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a 3,000-pound tow-behind sweeper. It's self-propelled, and it tows behind a pickup truck very easily. It'll even tow behind a Ranger or a small pickup. And I'll show in a minute here how this detaches and is used for transport as well as for operations. The brush can be either 6 foot or 8 foot wide. The most common is the 8 foot width. Start at the front of the unit. This features 3-wheel on-the-ground towing. When you take the pin out, the hitch will drop down, and you'll be able to have a self-adjusting hitch here. Give me a minute. That'll allow itself to fall on any height of hitch, so it'll self-adjust. So it makes it very easy for a rental application. The operator can drive it right out of the lot. You have a steering valve here. If you notice, this is tow, this is operation. So when the time comes that you have to operate the unit, you move the valve into the on position, and that pressurizes so that the operator can steer the unit or tow, free wheels behind the tow truck. So it's very easy from that standpoint with the front end of the unit. As I mentioned, the brush is 6 or 8 foot wide. We only use one drive motor on the other side. This side just has a carrier bearing, so you got better clearance along a curbway. The operator's compartment has your engine controls. This is a Kubota diesel. You've got a high-low screw, so you can increase the RPMs of the engine. The brush rotation is turned on here. Here, I should say. This is your brush rotation. This is the raise and lower of the brush to deploy it or to raise it for towing. And then the far lever will be for your angle adjustment. It'll angle 40 degrees right or left. The broom windrows, it does not pick up. It moves material to the side. Okay, when I mentioned this worm screw here, by pulling this screw out, and there's a lever that locks it, you can set the depth of the cylinder to close or open it for more pressure or less pressure. As the brush wears, you want to let that cylinder deploy it further, so you get full life out of a set of brushes. Notice these levers here. What this does, when you tow, you have the motors are pulled out and disengaged on each side. When it's time to operate, these get pulled out and they deploy into the slots. The motors are engaged. When it's time to tow the unit, it must be that these are pulled out. That's a very important point. So you have 3 items to do to change from tow to operation. Each of the rear side broom motors need to be disengaged, and that tow valve needs to be opened up. And conversely, when it's time to operate the unit, that needs to be engaged, and each of these motors need to be engaged back in. Otherwise, damage will result if you tow an engaged motor. Most of the rental stores are like this. Water tanks are see-through. Operator can see through his water level. Competition doesn't have that. They have black tanks, you don't know. This is a Kubota engine. It's a V1505 Kubota. It's rated, I believe, at 36 horsepower. Very reliable, has 4 cylinders. All your consumables are easy to get at. Your air filter, your oil filter, your battery, and this is your overrun for your radiator. It's a water-cooled diesel. The hood is real easy to engage. It's a lightweight hood, and it flips up. The competition has a big, heavy steel hood that comes down and makes engine access more difficult, but Lay-Mor has a nice lightweight hood, and it engages very, very easily, so you can get at everything. You have water tanks on both sides of the unit. I mentioned the wheel hubs, and of course the the fuel level for the engine is right underneath the operator's compartment, and there's a C gauge here. You can see how much fuel level you have. That tank is removable, so you can clean it out. Here's your drive motor that drives the brush, which is engaged from the operator's compartment. Notice this line here. This is a big plus over the competition. This is called a case drain line. On a Giroller motor, that's what these types of motors are. There's a lot of parasitic residual oil in the back of the case that creates pressure. By putting this case drain line, it passively drains this pressured fuel that's captured, or I should say oil, back into the tank. So this motor runs cooler. The seals are allowed to relax and not flex. That means that that motor won't leak nearly as often. It will not be a problem for maintenance because of the case drain line. There's also a steel bushing. Oftentimes you'll get coat hanger wire, twine and other things that'll bind up inside the motor in the operation of the broom. Lay-Mor puts a steel bushing there to protect against punctures to the inside where the inner seals are located.
Okay. And then of course that's the spraying system.
The spray system is deployed from one center hose. It's got a lip, a steel lip here to protect it. And then that is routed back up and under into the water tanks. And you have your water tank control on the dash. One more thing I should mention. I mentioned that the hubs need to be disengaged before towing, and conversely, engage when towing. But the important point is to open those hubs up when the operator is ready to pull away. If he forgets, there's a light and a backwards reading decal that he would see through his rearview mirror and a horn.
And how do you do that? How do you disengage? You're talking about the hubs on the wheels, right? Oh, sure.
It's time to tow.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
These come out like
right.
this. When it's time to operate, they go in.
Okay.
On each side, and then don't forget that steering cylinder.
Okay.
It's a 2-inch ball hitch coupler. Our competition is Terramite primarily, and Bros. Both lines have recently went to 3-wheel on the ground towing. They used to have a jack-up situation for their front wheel. It puts tremendous tow pressure on the towing vehicle. They've copied our design.
That's work.
This is the Cadillac